Hey everybody, welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. I do these videos every day, and the best way you can pay me back is by hitting subscribe. So hit subscribe, and without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Alex Wood, who had 8 strikeouts and 7 scoreless innings, and had these wicked sliders. When Wood is on, he can be really tough to hit. Ty Walker had 7 Ks and 7 scoreless innings, giving up only 3 hits. He lowered his ERA to 2.63 on the season. He had solid fastball command and used his nasty splitter to keep hitters off of his fastball. Unfortunately, Walker didn't get to the 8 Ks I was hoping for, but he did have a fantastic outing. Jake Odorizzi had 7 Ks and 7 scoreless innings thanks to these cutters. Nick Nelson had 4 strikeouts and 2 innings thanks to his changeup and fastball. Zack Greinke, it's been a while since I featured Zack Greinke here, but he had these pretty curveballs, getting 5 strikeouts and 5 innings on only 3 hits. I just love Greinke's slow curveball. Ian Anderson had 5 strikeouts and 5 1/3 innings, giving up only 2 runs, and here's an overlay of his fastball and changeup, and you can see how those pitches work together. This tunneling helps him get a swing on a changeup well off the plate. Paulo Espino had 4 strikeouts and 4 innings thanks to his 3,000 RPM curveballs. 3,000 RPM shouldn't surprise you because the man literally has spin in his last name. Nick Lodolo was spinning his Chris Sale-like slider. Look at these things. They are filthy. He had 6 strikeouts in 5 innings thanks to this slider. Last, but certainly not least, Sandy Alcantara had another great outing. I didn't think his stuff was as dominant as usual. He only had 4 strikeouts and 7 scoreless innings, but he was in full command the entire day. He had this 99-mile-an-hour fastball that had 17 inches of run, and then here's an overlay of a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and a 90-mile-an-hour slider, and you can see what makes this so tough. If you're guessing fastball, you're going to swing and miss on that slider. And the mark of a really, really good pitcher is not having your absolute A game and still dominating a lineup. Almost like Greg Maddux throwing 99 miles an hour. Now on to my filthiest relievers. Colin McHugh had this backdoor slider. Sawamura had this 94-mile-an-hour splitter. That's filthy. Felix Bautista had this dirty splitter. I love this from Daniel Bard. Here he is messing with timing, with no runners on base, obviously. And you can see how he normally comes set, and then quick pitches on this breaking ball, getting the absolute freeze on a ball basically down the middle. Pitching is all about disrupting a hitter's timing, and your windup is one way to do it. So use that weapon. Jordan Hicks had this 101-mile-an-hour fastball, and here's a view of it from a home plate angle. My filthiest pitch of the day was by Brusdar Graterol, this 100-mile-an-hour fastball that starts in the other batter's box and ends up working its way to the plate, all with as much effort as it takes me to describe that pitch to you. Lastly, cue the trumpets, Edwin Diaz had these filthy sliders. I was asked on Twitter why Diaz is so good this year, because he's got a 52% whiff rate on his slider. Well, here's some of my thoughts. Number 1, he's throwing his slider more often this year. In 2019, when he didn't have a great year, he was throwing his slider at about 34%. In 2021, it was more like 37.8%. And this year, he's throwing his slider 54% of the time. Yep, more than his fastball, which his fastball has gone up a couple of ticks, and he's throwing his fastball at 99 miles an hour, but still throwing his slider more. This goes with the philosophy of throwing your best stuff more often. Even though he throws hard, the batting average against his slider is in the mid-100s. He also has much better command and a better idea of how to attack hitters now. You can see his pitch patterns are very DeGrom-like. He's able to paint the outside corners with his fastball, and this sets up his slider off the fastball, especially arm side pitches to right-handed batters. I do think watching and talking to DeGrom has helped Diaz in his knowledge of how to attack hitters. You can see what I mean in this overlay. Here's an overlay of a 99-mile-an-hour fastball that just catches the zone, and then he throws a 93-mile-an-hour slider off of that fastball. This is a very simple approach, but if you can execute it like DeGrom does, you can dominate hitters. One last thing, even when Diaz had a tough year in 2019, his season wasn't as bad as it looked on paper. His actual ERA in 2019 was 5.59, but his expected ERA was over 2.3 runs lower at 3.23. All that means is that year he had a lot of bad luck, which probably also played into his confidence on the mound. And confidence in the mental game are hugely important for all pitchers, but especially closers. So when you see him coming out to trumpets now, all fired up, that is the confidence I'm talking about, and that takes a pitcher a long way. And that's another area where playing on the same team as Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer can help you. Those guys are masters of the mental game. Hopefully this gives you a little better insight as to the monster pitcher that Edwin Diaz has become, one of the most dominant closers in baseball. And now, my pitching ninja moment of Zen. This is true Zen. It's Miles Michaelis from the St. Louis Cardinals blowing sage all throughout the stadium. He said he dabbles in holistic medicine and just wanted to change the Cardinals' mojo.
Just trying to get some good energy in here. Little cleansing, a little bit of a new beginning for us today. I think I dabble in some holistic medicine healing, and sage is one of those things. It's one of the three sacred herbs, and it can't hurt.
What is up, Ninja Nation? My picks of the day today are for Miles Michaelis to have 7 Ks or more. I really feel that sage is going to help spur him to a big effort. And in the battle of Maxes, Max Scherzer versus Max Fried, I expect Max Fried to have 7 strikeouts or more. I think he's going to turn up his game because he wants to prove he's the best Max on the field. Though, to be honest, I really expect a max effort performance from both of them. That's a dad joke. What would your picks of the day be?